Treasury has warned the city of eKurhuleni that underperformance and non-compliance with grant spending may cost it 607 million rand. According to Treasury Deputy Director General Nthabiseng Tshivhenga, eKurhuleni's expenditure is lower than 45%. Recently, the metro has been at odds with the Auditor General over its audit outcomes. The Auditor General confirmed that the metro's audit was completed on time, but the municipality has filed a dispute with the office over its audit outcomes for the 2022-2023 financial year. To help us make sense of what's going on is eKurhuleni Council Speaker Nthabiseng Tshivhenga. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your time this morning. We'll get into the details of what's going on in a few moments, but maybe let's start with an education session, if you will. The strategic importance of the city of eKurhuleni. What do we need to know about what has been termed Africa's workshop?
Well, what you need to understand that majority of industries have previously been functional in eKurhuleni. We have industrial areas in Wadeville, we have industrial areas in Kempton Park, Isando area. So those industries are now dormant. And then the strategic nature of the airport, our international airport, OR Tambo, being in eKurhuleni, also informs that whatever needs to happen in terms of industrialization, whatever needs to happen in terms of increasing the economy, and in terms of if we had to go to a place where we change the entire economic setup of the Gauteng province to a metropolis, for example, such as those in your China, Gonzo, eKurhuleni is very, very strategic in that it's an entry and an exit point for international guests, international investors, and so on.
Please help us understand then the work of the Speaker of Council.
The work of the Speaker of Council is very complex, and a lot of people throughout the years have seen it as a person looking just pretty, sitting in air-conditioned offices and so on. However, the importance of the work of the Speaker is not only presiding over the council meetings whereby service delivery issues are debated, whereby we exercise oversight to ensure that the executive is held accountable and they are doing what they are supposed to be doing. But equally, it is to ensure that our people are getting services on the ground, that our people are able to understand the functions of the municipality, and that the officials and whoever is supposed to be doing the work are doing that work.
Okay. When you speak of holding the executive to account, maybe let's take a look at the issue of finances. Let's start with the word from the Treasury. What is your understanding of it, and what should we understand it between yourselves and Treasury? What's going on?
There's a lot going on between ourselves and the Treasury, but we want to restrict ourselves to the facts. And the facts are as follows, Dudu. As the people's government in eKurhuleni, we inherited a municipality that has a surplus of only 300 million rands in the bank. That means we only had cash in hand to be able to take care of our obligations for a period of 3 to 4 days. That means after 3 to 4 days, we would have run out of money to provide service delivery and so on and so on. So since then, what we have done as the government of the people is that we've been able to ensure that we increase that surplus to an amount of 800 million now, which takes us to almost 10 days cash on hand. And we equally inherited historically outstanding payments to service provider of 7 billion rands. And we have reduced that to 2 billion rands. The challenge of the issue of the AG is not as complex as people would want to indicate. On the 1st of December, the AG did write to us as the city to indicate that they have delayed in completing the audit process. And Section 126(4) of the Municipal Finance Management Act indicates that it's a purely normal process that the auditor would not be able to complete the audit process in the 3 months that they're given. And then usually they table the report to council. They give it to the accounting officer on the 30th of November. That's in section 124 of the Municipal Finance Management Act. So the 3 months period allows the city and the AG to be able to interact on the issues that need to be cleaned up. The auditor will have what we call material findings. The material findings are based on performance information as well as finance information. So on finance information, for example, the AG would say, if we look at bid adjudication processes, it's only the municipal manager that is allowed to sign off awards of tenders that are over 10 million rand. So we find that somebody else has signed that thing. The auditor will flag that to say, no, this is a material finding. However, once we as the city, when we interact with the auditor, we're able to say, no, but the municipal manager was on leave. There was a person who was acting, and then the acting person has full powers of delegation to be able to do that. Then that will automatically fall off as a finding, right? For example, another example that we were looking for a particular ledger as evidence and so on. The person who's in custodian of that ledger is on leave by the time the auditor closes their process. So we are able at a later stage, and the auditor is allowed in terms of treasury regulations to review whatever findings that they may have found if there's new evidence that comes about after the audit process has been closed. So those processes allow for that interaction. However, in this case, the Auditor General was very late in sending us that draft report. And there's a great difference between a draft audit report and a final audit report, because the draft allows that process whereby we clean the report. And it's very fundamental that we understand that the banter in the media of this report being hidden, there's no one who has power. There's no person who has power to hide a report from the Auditor General. So that we need to clear. And we equally need to understand, we've seen the DA and the Action SA coming, and you've been giving them airtime, and they were looking for the 2023-24 Auditor General's report. There is no such a report. The report that we are speaking of is a report of the 2022-2023 financial year. In that year, 9 of the 12 months, the government of the city of eKurhuleni was under the DA. So we need to understand that report in that context.
Okay. Yeah. And so when it comes to the Municipal Finance Management Act, all but one of the requirements have been met by the city of eKurhuleni.
Yes.
So maybe you can clarify this for us. So are we hearing from you that the Finance MMC failing to submit the 2022-2023 annual financial statements timeously in breach of that act is because of the Auditor General being late, or does that not matter?
The Finance MMC is not, there's no such a thing. The financial year that we are speaking of closed on the 30th of June 2023. So after the closing of the financial year, we allow a period of about 3 months whereby the city has to close their records, do this and that, due diligence, and then submit the report. So the audit process starts in September. In September, the city of eKurhuleni was able to submit the financial statements and other information that is required by the AG. The AG started their processes then in September. However, due to the complexity of the auditing process, the Auditor General only submitted their complete draft report, which we call management report, to us on the 15th of November. So you will understand a city as complex and as big as eKurhuleni, it's a metro, having 15 days in between to be able to clear up those issues is very little time. And it's quite normal for such a process to happen. It's quite normal to have escalation of certain things, like those examples that have been given. So the city wanted a situation where we are given adequate time to be able to ventilate those issues. We are currently now with the head of portfolio, which is the last level whereby we are able to ventilate those issues, those disputes and so on. It's quite normal. It's only the delay process. And the AG has correctly written to us that because we have not found each other by the 30th of November, then the process is delayed and it's still ongoing. So there's nothing sinister that is happening.
All right. So you speak of some of the things that you have inherited, including a purse that is not so healthy. When you say you've only got 10 days in cash, how much do you need to be comfortable and to provide service delivery comfortably?
Yeah. Due to the Treasury regulations says that we need to have a cash in hand of about 30 days. 30 days for a city such as eKurhuleni would mean more or less around 100 million per day to be able to meet all our obligations. So for us as the city of eKurhuleni to be able to service our obligations, we need to have a total cash in hand of around 3 billion rands, and currently we have around 800 million rands. However, we have gone a long way in clearing those historic debt. You must remember that it's a balancing act. You can't have so much outstanding payments of service providers and so much cash in hand. It's like you are robbing yourself. But currently we have reduced the debt, the outstanding payments from 7 billion to 2 billion rands, and we are still looking at it. We have a situation to do where even in our system, people have been paid for not providing services. And when we came in, we made sure that we call all service providers. I indicated to them that we're going to embark on a process whereby we are able to verify these payments that need to be made.
An audit of sorts.
Yes, an audit of some sort. I mean, we've even audited our employees if they are there, if they are still working. So we are doing a very thorough process, and we've been open and transparent about it.
Okay. Some political parties allege that that figure is not 2 billion rand. Instead, in terms of creditors not being paid on time, there's a figure that is being bandied about of 4 billion rand that is owed to creditors.
The challenge to do about being in a public space and operating in a public entity is that it leaves very little space to distort the views. This is public information that can be verified. The National Treasury is able to verify this information. So these are parties that were alleging that we have a report of 2023-2024 outstanding, of which the audit thereof has not even started. So this is very public information. We can't go on to a point where we are arguing about information that is in the public. It is very important to do that. Even yourselves as journalists, you must assist us in clarifying some of these issues to the public, because it makes our work very difficult. We're doing very well in the city of eKurhuleni. We are in recovery. And I don't think we are going to take long to clear some of these issues. I mean, at some point, we're able, in the last financial year, we're able to increase our number of indigent people registered as indigent by 1,800 rand, which increases whatever allocation we are going to have from the Treasury as well.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you do not run the risk as the city of being placed, as a municipality, a metro, of being placed under administration?
No, we do not.
You are doing well, you are comfortable?
Yes, and the Auditor General would have been clear that we are running a risk of being placed under administration, but there is no such a thing now. We inherited a very, very bad municipality that is in a financial crisis. That service delivery has almost collapsed, but we are doing very well to improve and turn it around.
How do you meet that cash in hand? Because the shortfall, how do you meet it? You spoke about the strategic importance of eKurhuleni. You spoke of dormant industries. Are we not able to revive those industries? What would it take? What has disallowed from these industries to thrive? And also, when you speak of service delivery, you can also create jobs while at it. Or is it not that simple? Is it more complicated?
It requires a political will. It requires a political will. I can tell you to do that. When we inherited the municipality, we had people owing the municipality over 1 billion. These are industries. We had a program from our finance department called Siyacima Manje. Siyacima manje was literally going to companies that have not been paying for their services. They've not been paying for water, they've illegally connected electricity. Industries that the DA government had allowed those people to get off scot-free. So the most important thing is to increase our revenue collection. And we are now currently at 94% in terms of our revenue collection. Revenue collection allows us to have more money so that we are able to provide services to our people. And equally, those industries are very important to ensure that we have sustainable jobs for people to be able to get work and for the economy to be revived in the city of eKurhuleni.
Okay. There was a motion that was tabled against the mayor of eKurhuleni, brought forth by Action SA on the 12th of February, if my memory serves correctly. What's the status of that?
Well, the motion is legally compliant to be able to serve in council, and then the programming committee, which is, in terms of the standing orders, the only body that determines the agenda of the council meeting, has processed the motion through to the council meeting that will be on the 29th of February 2024.
Ma'am, thank you very much for your time this morning. Nthabiseng Tshivhenga is the Speaker of Council for eKurhuleni. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Rachel Makura is standing by with all things sport.